Yeah, so I apologize for that. Sorry about that, guys. My power plug or power surge strip got tripped, and I lost power to everything. So, um, yeah, what we're gonna do, excuse me, was basically show you how to add in the stamina from start to finish, as far as the UI graphics and any scripting that's needed. So the icon that I downloaded for that was this silhouette of a person running. Um, it looks like it was a PNG, so it's a good chance the background is already transparent. I'm kind of hoping it is. So let's open that with GIMP. So the first thing we're gonna need to create are three images. We're gonna have the image that we want when stamina is full. We need the image that's going to show when stamina is completely drained, and then we'll have a masking image that will be able to mask between the two of those. Well, really, just one's going to be a background image, which is when it's empty. And anyways, yeah, this is perfect. It's already transparent. But the mask image just used to show or hide the foreground image and have a background behind it. So it's somewhat of it's only it's three images that create this. So the first one is going to be, and I guess we got to decide on colors. This one happens to be just black, which could be a nice background image, actually, meaning it's empty. Could show an empty one. Maybe we'll use that for the background. And again, we could change this up. Let's go ahead and use this as the background, and we'll fill them up with a color. So let's do this. Let's do File. Let's do Save As, and it's in our Unity Art folder. Stamina icon. Okay, let's call this the stamina icon. Background, basically, is what it would be. BG for background. Alright, we want to export as. We'll re-export a PNG of that name in our folder. Save background color. Okay. Now, I'm going to use the paint tool. It's going to be simple. Oh, wait, I know what I want to do. Before we do that, let's go to, yeah, background. It's going to be like a solid black like that, which might be okay, but to go up here is the opacity on the right. We can change that value. Set it down to like 30% to match the other ones we've been doing. There's 30%. Okay, so let's save that and re-export it. Export it as. We'll overwrite. Okay. Alright, so now let's set the opacity back to 100%. Let's do a fill color. Let's choose our yellow again. We're going to use that. There, fill that in. Okay. Now we're going to save this one as, I like to save the original GIMP version because it has a different extension, XCF, and you can do multi-layers in these if you need to. This would be stamina, not the background, but it'll be the mask. Let's export that. So we just rename it stamina underscore icon underscore mask PNG. Same option, save background, make sure that's checked. And now the last version of this will be the way it's going to look when it's filled. We got to choose a color here. We could also do a gradient actually, or pattern fill it with something. Let's see what kind of options we have here in Unity. I mean in GIMP. Yeah, there's not really any variations there. There's do a background fill, foreground to background, linear. See if there's some kind of default color that we like here. And so we've used, we got red for the heart, blue kind of for the shield. Stamina, I guess we want to use some other color. Maybe something with some greens in it. Transition from a light green to a dark green. A lot of presets here. I'm looking at these options. Really don't like any of them. Okay, I guess it'll be that, but we need to change those colors here. So go to our greens. And let's set our background color also in the greens. So it's a little bit brighter. So that will be the transition there. And now the way this works, let's try this. Should be able to click click here, hold. I think we can also hit Control. That would give us the perfect line. But we didn't mask off. Okay, so let's edit, undo blend. There's a great way to actually select this image as a mask in GIMP. If you go to select by color, since it's a solid color, this is why it works perfect. You can also do it if you have a solid color in the background of another image. You can use it to select that. But anyways, we're going to do by color, and then we're going to click in here. You see it's got a selection line around there. Now if we go to the gradient, drop down here to here, let's see if this works. Especially if I hit Control, yeah, it snaps it to a straight line. Yeah. So there's our running guy, and kind of went from lighter to darker, but I think we want to reverse that. Edit, undo blend. Let's come from here and go up this way. Control, snap. Yeah, we'll get darker on the bottom and it goes up to a lighter color up top. So it's going to be our simple thing. We can always change it at a later point. This will get us going with something. It's not going to really match our other images, but it's something. File. Again, we'll save this as. This will be the fill. File, export as. Alright, so we have our 3 images now. So now we can exit GIMP. You'll see right here, we had our original black one. Now we have our background, our fill, and our mask. So now let's do this. Slide that over. Easiest way to do that, I like to have the window open, and I just kind of click the 3 images, and then click and drag them and drop them into our sprites folder. So if we click our sprites, you'll see they've been added in, but they don't quite look the same way as they were before. They look a little different. So what we have to do, we have to make some changes. You can't use them. These are just standard images at this point, even though they're dragged into our sprites folder. In order to convert it to a true sprite in Unity with all the additional things it sets up to work with sprites, you click on the image, and the texture type is what's important. It's set to default, or basically a normal image. But we need to change that. For a sprite, we need to change it because as a sprite, which is for 2D and UI. This is the old legacy one, Editor GUI. We want the new one, the sprite, 2D and UI. And then apply the changes, and you'll see it'll appear exactly the way it was in GIMP, the way we have our transparency and everything. So we'll do the same with the other 2. I'm going to just select them both. You can do multi-object selects in Unity, and we can change them both to sprite and apply those changes to both of those. And so we've got our mask and our other one. Okay, so those are all set up. So now let's go to our level main, our UI HUD. We're going to highlight that. We're going to add a new game object, an empty one. We're going to call this stamina stat. Oops. S-T-A-M-I-N-A-S-T-A-T. Stamina stat. And the first thing we're going to do is add under UI, we're going to add an image. And we'll rename these later. Let's just get these set. Now this image, well, let's name them now so we don't get confused. This image here is going to be our filler. We'll call it filler. And so that's going to be our green. So we're going to drop that in here. And for the image type, this is the filler one. Is we need to change that to filled. And we're going to do a vertical again from the bottom, and it's at 100%. That's fine. And then off of that, we're going to right-click that. We're going to add a child 2D object called the sprite mask. We'll just name that as filler mask. And it just has the sprite that you can use for the mask, and so we'll drag our yellow into there, and we don't change anything. That's it. We just drop it in there. Now we want to click back to the stamina stat empty game object, or which is no longer empty, but our main game object. We're going to add another, our background image. Basically, we're going to go under UI image, and we'll just say filler capital BG for background, and that's going to be this translucent grayish black one that we had. Drop that in there, and just leave it as all those are set just the way they are. So now the next thing we need to do is, if we kind of zoom in the scene here, you can see it's kind of up here in the middle. This by default, that's where the rect transform that we originally set, that's where it centers it. So we want to change that. We're going to click this to expand that. And we're going to hold the Alt key so that we can actually not only set its anchor point, but we'll position the graphic as well. So we're going to anchor in the bottom left corner like we did the other 2. So hold Alt, you'll see it changes And we're going to click this box right here, left click it once while holding Alt. You see it moved our image down there in the corner. So now we can kind of zoom in on that. Let's bring that as close as we can so we can kind of see what's going on here. There. I like to get it where you can't see the sand, the base of the water, basically right there. Even though it looks like it's getting cut off, it really isn't when it's on the scene. So now it's touching the bottom of the screen. You can see his feet are touching the bottom. So we need to bring that up. It looks like the scaling by default is pretty much where we want it. We might have to adjust it by a little bit. So let's first work on the position. Set Y is at 50. So this is the position X and Y is how we place it. Now that we've anchored it, we have it kind of set. We haven't messed with the scaling of the item yet in the X and Y. If we have to scale it up or down, we can do that. Let's try to get the position right. So Y, the Y value goes up, starts at 0 at the base here and goes up in number, increases upward, like your standard 2D access and basic geometry class in school. So 55, and we might have to go up to like 60, let's say. And I'm looking at the feet. The feet look like they're really lined up right at the bottom, and the head's kind of near the top. Looks like it's a good scaling. We don't even have to really mess with the scaling. We'll leave it at 1:1 because that's going to be fine. But we need to move over the X position over. So let's try 300. Whoops, 300. And to get a similar gap, we probably want to move over just a little bit more. Let's try 350. That's probably too far. Let's try 325. And that looks close. 320 maybe. Or maybe 315. We'll see how. Let's just hit. We don't have anything linked to it right now. Let's just hit play just so we can see what it looks like. Yeah, so there's our guy there. Probably want to move him back over a little bit. So, because I'm visualizing where the foot is, it looks like it's not. It's a little too close. So, yeah, let's set that to 325. Alright, and let's test our filler, make sure that works. Let's do this so we can see the whole image. And we'll just slide our thing down and make sure, as you can see, that does work. Alright, so if we look at our armor stat, how we did that, the script that we created was attached to the main game object. So we're going to do the same here. We're going to highlight that, click this add component here. We're going to add a new script. We're going to create a new script for this. It's going to be called stamina stat. We'll just call it the same as the item, the main game object item. Okay, it's got that. And we'll just wait till that changes to read stamina stat, then we can go and edit that bad boy and get it set up. Alright, so that's in there. Let's tell you what, let's save this scene that we have added in. Everything's in there with the images. Let's save that. Let's save our project in case something gets, if the cord gets pulled again or something crashes. We're going to have to load up Visual Studio now, which I don't know what condition it's going to be in. I haven't actually launched it since my power went out. So let's see what's going to happen here. Alright, so that's almost loaded here. So essentially we're going to have like 3 lines of code in here, more or less. Because the only thing the script is doing is pulling the current value of stamina that's in our player manager script that's attached to the player, the vector, controller, third person controller. And I apologize, I just went back and watched some of my videos and I kept saying third party controller, and it should have been third person controller. I kept calling it third party for some reason. I'm sure you knew what I meant. You were just waiting for me to catch myself, and I never did. Yeah, so we're going to have just some simple code that's just taking the current value that's in our player manager script on our stamina and assigning it to the fill amount so that it can get updated every frame. Alright, so first thing we do is create our image variable. Be a private image underscore imgs and try to do image conversion. That's not what we want. The reason it's not recognizing the image by itself is we've got to add a using statement here, Unity engine dot UI. We're basically adding a namespace, so UI there. We could have just said private and then Unity engine dot UI dot image that way, but if we need to use any other classes out in the Unity UI namespace, it's just easier to do it that way. Okay, now I'm gonna one thing we need to set up, I've just recalled, because just remembered, we need to set up our tag for the stamina. So we've got a stat for armor stat called armor stat. So let's go to stamina stat here. And this list is getting long. I wish there was an easier way. You should be able to scroll with your mouse and keyboard, wheel and your mouse and scroll through this. We have to click this little arrow down here to get to the add tag. That should actually be at the top. So, but I guess they want you to look through it all before you add a duplicate tag. Anyway, so we'll do add tag. This would be called stamina. Just call it stamina stat. Yeah, I was just looking. The tag actually is not on the main game object. It's on the filler. So armor icon filler. So we're going to do the same here. And we're going to just select that new. It's called stamina stat. Anyway. It's really the filler. I like to name it something like that. But that's fine. It's not going to matter. We're only going to use it that one time in that one spot. Alright, so let's go here. Let's look at our save that. Look at our health bar just to save time. We're going to copy this. Control C. And start. Same thing, but instead of health icon, this will be stamina stat. Get a reference to the stamina stat game objects image component. and assign it to underscore image, and then in the update function is where we adjust the fill amount. And again, this is going to be modified, but we'll copy the basic code here. So we're not poking around. And so really the only thing that changed this value down here, instead of dot health, it's going to be dot stamina. Divide that by 100. This is the player object, is where that's attached. So that's it there. So that'll make sure every frame the stamina UI icon is being updated accordingly based on whatever the stamina is currently set to in the player manager. So right now it's set to 100 when the game starts. We now need to write some code that when the shift key is being pressed, the stamina is decreased over time. And so let's look at how we can do that. Well, I don't, like I said, I don't want to get into the vector code and be doing all that stuff. But since we know that the shift key is used for sprint, the beauty of this is anywhere you're trapping for that shift, you need to make sure that all scripts can react to that key, not just a single script. So we have had game controls although it would be better in the player manager because this can directly access. Yeah, this is where we need to do it, really. Just making sure we have our we could do it right here in the update function. We could just say if and we probably don't have that set up. Let's see. Trying to decide if we're going to use the regular input or the cross-platform input. Let's look at what our vector is using. So we need to go to our player prefab. Controller, the input manager is what we need to look at. Just edit the script. It's using Unity Engine, that scene management, but it's really not. I think I saw somewhere it's just using the regular input dot get. So it's just using the standard input. It's not really doing a cross-platform. All right, so and so it looks like the way they have this defined is sprint input. So we're going to have to do something similar. And, oops. Oh, okay, they just defined it up here. Public key code sprint input equals key code left. I guess they wanted to change it up to make it something more meaningful. So yeah, left shift. So same thing. So that's only defined here. So since we're not going to be in there, we're going to need to use keycode.left shift. And we can do that directly in the player manager. So if input that get key down key code dot left shift, if that's happening, player is sprinting, reduce stamina. So now we got to figure out, okay, how are we going to reduce it? Keep in mind this line, whatever we type here, is going to be executed once per, every frame each second. So if we're getting 60 frames a second, if we just say we're going to reduce it by 1, that means in 1 second we could reduce our stamina by 60%. And so we don't want that. What we want to do is something over time. And I believe the value that we want to reduce it by, we can take, let's try this first. We're going to use 1. I guess we can define something here, though. Let's define something called this will be just a private float stamina speed basically just reduction speed. Stamina speed, we're going to just set it equal to 1. Just set it to 1 for now. We'll play around with that in a minute if we need to. We can adjust it there. But let's get this written. So we're going to say float stamina reduction is going to be equal to the stamina speed times time dot delta time in seconds it took to complete the last frame. So that's going to be a small fraction. So what we can do is take the speed and you multiply it by, let's say the frame is, if you're getting 60 frames a second, basically it's 1/60 of a second. You divide that out, whatever that comes to, that decimal amount. If our stamina speed is, we're saying 1, and we multiply it by time dot delta time. So for that frame, we're just going to get a small fraction of 1, but that'll allow us to reduce stamina at a rate of 1 unit per second. So if we have 100, if our stamina is at 100, it would take 100 seconds, essentially a little over a minute and a half, minute and 40 seconds, to completely run out of stamina. Now, you might say, well, that's a long time to be running, and all that. So we can change the stamina speed to 2 then, and it'll decrease it down instead of it'll be half of that. So let's play around with this and see. Okay, that's their stamina reduction. And then we can say stamina minus equals, we're going to subtract stamina reduction. Well, okay, here's the other thing we need to do, because when we're hitting the left shift, sure, let's do this part first though. We got to figure out a way to increase it. When we're not left shifting or sprinting, we said we're going to increase it. And so we probably want to increase maybe at a faster rate than it was used up. I don't know. Maybe the same rate. We'll see. So we're basically going to readjust stamina by the stamina reduction. Now, what is the problem here? What's it kicking up? Cannot be assigned. Okay. So, yeah, we got to say, what's our function? We wrote a function specifically for stamina. Add protection, take damage, heal. Okay, use stamina, and then add stamina. So, yeah, we've got those functions there. So, oops. Let's go back here. It's called use stamina. So we can say use stamina reduction, just like that. That'll reduce that value, and then our little script that's running on our UI side is always checking the value of stamina, and so that will decrease only while the left shift is being pressed. So let's go back out here and let's test it, see if it works. Like I said, that we can, I know a simple way we're going to allow us to recharge the stamina automatically. Oh, I sure hope my mic switch is on. Yes, it is. I'd hate to have to be doing this again. This turned out to be a long stream anyway, so I was kind of glad maybe it broke up in 2 parts. I'm hoping the first part at least took and they're able to save what was streamed. Alright, so as we walk, our stamina retains green. So I'm going to start hitting shift. And I don't see any change in our stamina. So this is where we get into a little debugging here. Let's do this. Let's change off the full screen thing. So we want to be able to see what's going on here. Let's get into our text here. And let's just write out debug.log sprinting reducing by stamina reduction. Let's also log debug.log current stamina. So we look at the actual data that's behind the scenes in this. And then we use the stamina, and then let's log after reduction. So we'll at least see that going on as we're holding it. And we'll know if it's actually logging it or not. It's possible it's not being triggered, that maybe somehow the InVector controller hijacks all the keyboard input, and we can't trap it like this. That we may have to put this in the InVector script. So let's go back here. Let's wait till that compiles. And we're waiting for it to run. What's going on here? Is it still, did it lock up or? All right. So let's get out here in the open. Okay, I just tapped it once just to see. Current's down 100. Okay, sprint reducing by, so it's at 99. 99. Oh, I see what's happening. Yeah, see, this helps debug it. As soon as I hit the sprint button, see, it only triggers it one time. It says sprinting reducing by. It only reduced it by that little bit. That's why. Okay, so we know what's happening. It's not continually updating because the key is only triggered on key down. That's not the key we want. And I did see a variation there. I think it's just GetKey is what we want. Returns true while the user holds down the key identified by the key code. That's what we want. The other one would just get it like one time for a one-time click, like hitting left shift. That's not what we want. Alright, so let's wait for that to compile. Let's run that, and I think we should get a better result. Yeah, by the way, I did test this out on a system that had a better graphics card, and I was steadily getting 60 frames a second no matter what direction I moved in, no matter how many trees were in there. So it's definitely my system that's causing the low frame rate. If I had something a little better, it would run super smooth. So when you're watching these videos, don't think that, Unity, someone starting out can't create decent games at a high frame rate. It's not Unity at all. It's my system. So, all right. So now we're sprinting, and I do see his head starting to disappear. Yep. Still sprinting. Let's see how far we can go across the map. That would make more sense, right? I think it would be safe to say you'd have to maybe let your sprint recharge. Whoops, that's a good fall there. Damn, our shield's gone. Anyway, we're halfway through our shield. I mean, our sprint stamina. Yeah, so our sprint stamina is at nothing right now. but we're still sprinting, so we've got to work that logic out. But it did allow us to almost get across the entire map. I don't know if that's... You shouldn't be able to run across the whole map on all your stamina. I think you should run out quicker. So here's what we're going to play with that multiplier. So let's do this. Let's exit. Let's switch up our multiplier to up here. So I run out 3 times as fast. And then okay, we're going to create our own. We're not going to fool with the vector stuff right now, but we're going to create a Boolean variable here. I'm almost thinking we need to set up a global, actually. A global called out of stamina, and we're going to have to modify the vector code because essentially that's what's controlling the motor and the animation in a sprint sequence. And from here we don't have any way to indicate to the vector script what's going on. So again, we're going back to using a global to relay information. Alright, so let's add a new public here. This will be public static bool. Actually, it's going to be a float. No, we don't necessarily need to do that. Never mind. Never mind. Yeah, no, we don't need to do that at all. Because the third person input is a script that's off our player as well as the player manager. So what we should be able to do here, let's look at the sprint. Let's look at sprint input. If input get key down, sprint input. See, all they're doing is flagging something, sprint true or false, and then with that key, and then while it's turned on in the sprint mode, the animation and the controller takes over to use the variable set up for sprint speed. So we need to flip that variable basically. And what we're going to do is we're just going to override. We're going to add a line here. So let's put a comment here. Today's date is the 22nd. And so what we're going to say is if we basically want to check if we have any stamina left. So if let's see, what's our player controller? Let's see. Yeah, we need to get the see, attached to this we have our player manager. That's what we need. Let's go back to our script. So we should be able to say if get component player manager dot stamina greater than 0. And so I guess what I want to do is, because I do want it to be toggled by what they do. Because if the player keeps trying to hold that key down when their sprint's out, it's still going to jump into this check right here, and it'll override. What I just want to do is in here, though, say we'll do a secondary check then. Okay. Is the stamina greater than 0? If it is, then sprint is true. Else, I'll just copy that line. CC sprint false. So we're going to control it like that. And so while they're holding it down, if we happen to pick up, of course, when they let go, it's going to be set it to false anyways, but this will override it to false. The stamina is not, greater than 0. So stamina is greater than 0, it'll set it to true, else false. So that should work. Now let's go back to how we can recharge the stamina. To do that, we need to go back to our player manager. And we're checking while this key code is being pressed to do that, but when it's not being pressed, that's when we gotta increase. So we could have an else statement here. So basically, if they're holding the key, we're not going to add to it. We're going to be reducing. Else, if their player is not sprinting, increase stamina. Okay, we're going to call this stamina. We'll just call it increase instead of reduction. Even though we could have used that same variable and just used it for, did a plus instead of a minus, that kind of thing. It's just now I want to create another variable just so we can have a little more finer control of this. So we got the stamina speed. We're going to probably change that to reduction speed, and that is 3, and then we'll have stamina increase speed, or regeneration speed. Well, we already called the other thing increase. Let's just keep, we know what it is when it's increasing. We actually might want to make it go a little bit slower. Maybe you can expend it quicker, but it doesn't recharge as fast. Let's do that. Okay, so let's go back down here. Of course, we've got to change that to stamina reduction speed. And this will be multiplied by stamina increase. Speed, same thing over time.out time, so we get a steady increase. We'll show the current stamina. We'll just say increased by, show the stamina increase. And instead of use stamina, I think we called it, is it add stamina? Yeah. And so increase, and then after increase, stamina is that stamina. So that's pretty much it. Now we're going to put a check in here though. So this code is not really executed every single time. We'll say that if the stamina is greater than or equal to 100, I mean it's less than 100. So only if it's less than 100 will we attempt to increase it. Same here while we're sprinting. If stamina, while it's greater than 0, meaning there's still some stamina left, then we'll continue to do this stuff here. Otherwise, we'll need to tax the system on doing all these debug statements, plus all the use stamina and add stamina. I think we might be onto something here. I think we've got something that might work now. So we can control increasing and decreasing our stamina through sprinting. It'll also stop. What I'm more curious about, the code I'm curious about, is if we're sprinting and holding the left shift down, we run out of stamina, and we're still holding it down, will the character actually stop in the third-person controller where I modified that? Put that little simple if statement in there. We're going to find out. Alright, go, go, go. Okay, yeah, I think it's definitely decreasing at a better rate that I want to see. I didn't realize the green on the grass doesn't show well. We might want to change that definitely to another color. Maybe we'll do purple or even a fuchsia pink. Taking fall damage, boom. A little bit more. Shield still up a little bit, still good. Oops, we're taking a little bit more damage. Okay, so our sprint is actually out, but it's still running. So let's see if we let off. Stamina, yeah, stamina showing like it's going up, so it is slowly recharging. I see that, and it's increasing over time. What I want to see is when it hits 100, do we stop getting our debug statements that are logging out the current stamina? Yeah, I'm watching in the log there. I don't know if you're watching there too, but you can see also on the icon it's going up. We're at 89, 90, it's almost at 100%. 100, yeah, it looks like it stopped logging, so then we start sprinting again, it starts going down. Now it's going up. So that part's working. What we got to figure out is why Why is it not stopping the third person controller here? Let's see, what am I missing? Oh, that's right. See, they only trigger this one time. That's right, one time. This isn't happening every frame like we are. Um, all right. So what we'll need to do is not only have that check over there, because we do want it to check that the first time the key is hit. We also need to have it checked do have an update method here. Let's see, update motor, sprint inputs. Yeah, I almost want to put it right. I remember if late update is called. Let's see. I think late update is called after. But while it's updating, it's over here. So let's just do that. Add that check. Just so we run out of sprint stamina faster. Set that to 5. We'll have it recharge at a rate of 3. Alright, let's test that. The reason I've got to leave that other check in there, it's the same lines of code. That's called a late update. So in the update, that's called, and late update is called later. Their code could override what's going on in every frame. So where the other stuff, the late update's only done one time. When the key's pressed, so we want to make sure it's checked in both places. Alright, so now we got this quirky little bug here. Now it's like it's sprinting without us even pressing the key. So that's not going to work. Okay, so I can't just add this in here. This is not going to work here. The void update. Oh, I take that back. Actually, input handle, input methods. That's called a late update, which is actually called every frame as well. Input handle. So let's see, where is input handle? Update input methods. Okay, here's input handle. So that is called every. Okay, so let's modify this. Okay, so they had it just like this. Yeah, it's not. I'm still trying to think how we're going to do this, because even though sprint input is called every single frame, I guess we could just say if input oh great, what do I do? Get key sprint input so while the user's pressing that, and come on, what's it doing? Oh, we're still running? We did stop our game, yeah, stop. And let's see. So basically, while the user is pressing the sprint input key, in our stamina, let's just say it's less than or equal to, because we're going to leave it at true until the stamina becomes less than or equal to 0. Then we can say we'll override that way. So this way it is being checked then. Okay, so he's not running on his own anymore. That's a good sign. And our stamina's going down a lot faster because of the increase. Okay, so it did stop now. That worked out. I'm still holding shift. So we did jump into a walk, which is good. That's what we were hoping for. Still holding it so he's not regaining sprint stamina. So I'm going to let off on the shift. Okay, I can see by the logger he's regaining sprint stamina. Now I'm going to use up the little bit I have. Back down to 0 so he slows down. Nice, I think it's working. I think it's working. Set it build back up. Yep, we're almost about 3 cores. Let's start using it. There we go. Starts using it up. Oh yeah. Nice. It's working as planned. Nice. Yeah, I feel a little more confident about this. Let's run toward the... That was the other thing. I added a bridge over here to cross over the volcano. Looking to do something there. I want to show you another... You need to pull up a document. I took a top-down view snapshot of the entire island where it's showing the, these little dirt roads that are going between areas. And I want to show you what I kind of was thinking about. I did all that before I started working in this UI stuff, but the UI being the first thing, building the HUD, I mean, with the stats here, getting that going, getting that, some of these items working. Yeah, I used up that sprint a lot quicker. We need to drop that 5 down. That's a little too fast, actually. To be out of sprint from the time we saw this, just running up that hill. Anyways, I put in this nice little bridge here. So that you can just kind of run. Whoops. No. Of course we fell. Of course we can still climb walls, so we're like Superman, Spider-Man, climbing these walls. Yeah, so we took some damage on that fall. Yeah, so anyway, I made that bridge that goes across there. I had to flatten these ends out just to make it look a little better. And yeah, there's no trees anywhere. I took all that out. We're going to build up the environment as we go. As we build up an area, we'll stamp out some trees and do it that way. Yeah, we should be able to have enough stamina to run across this bridge. It's just going down too quick. I think the 3 was actually a good number. And then 2 for the recharge. So let's go back and change that. Go to our scripts here. Player manager. 3 and 2. Yeah, so we've got our stamina thing working. Got our shield working. Got the health working. I guess we need to get it now where the player's dead. We're gonna have to do something. We fall too many times. He's gonna have to maybe do like a force respawn, almost like a respawn, and put him back at spawn location A. But anyways, let me bring up that the document I was talking about. So let's go to Documents. Let's go to our Unity projects, Harvest. Under Assets, I think we've got a documentation folder now. Yeah, there it is right here. Let me bring this over. It's actually on the wrong screen. Let's bring that over here. Increase that. So what I did was create this document called, excuse me, called Unity, the Harvest World Map Overview, and I labeled the major locations. Kind of went clockwise, more or less. Location A being the one that we're building out right now. Location B was our original location where we did a lot of streams out of that small little shack, just building up the pickup system. But I kept it at B since it was already identified as a location. That was B. C is down here. This road goes toward along the water edge. Of course, D up here, E, F, G, and then H. I decided to name the volcano, and I came up with. And so what I did down here, first of all, each of these are hyperlinked. This is something I learned in Word. You can hyperlink. Like I can click down to the location A here. It'll hyperlink me to the document portion on this. But anyways, for location A, it's going to be the main area of the map that will contain a central marketplace called Trader's Village, as well as several outlying merchants and shops that will reside outside the stone walls of Trader's Village. All visitors will start their adventure in this location. So, like I said, if we die, that may be the place where we'll respawn. And now I also set up spawn locations for each of these areas. And so location B, which is over there, the original one we were playing in. And I'm kind of coming up with like a theme and a concept for each area. So the concept, this little storyline / concept for this one. Due to the fertile land with very rich soil, this part of the island became a breeding ground for farmers alike. Many people have settled here out of necessity, while others saw the potential for prosperity. Majority of fresh food merchants throughout the island have contractual agreements with the farmers to source their fresh products. So essentially we're going to have build a farm-like area, barns, farmers, crops. They'll be growing, fresh fruits, vegetables, trees, apple trees and all that, and they'll be the suppliers of fresh fruit and vegetables alike to any of the merchants that actually sell food as one of their items that are in the merchant shops and other locations on the map, which will be very few. There'll only be it may just be some wandering, maybe a small couple of carts, like a cart off to the side of the road as you travel between areas that would actually sell the produce, and maybe in the main marketplace, because as you read, each one's going to be specific. Okay, so location C, which is the small one down here, kind of leads to it's a rocky area. Historians say that something unusual fell from the night sky. Witnesses say that the impact was felt across the entire island, causing tremors that altered the island landscape. Most notably was the formation of the Great Crater in the center of the island. So that was as a result of something that happened at this location C. Upon inspection of the impact zone, it was discovered that the area contained very rare gemstones and unusual minerals. Mining operations were set up to extract these rare geological finds. It was not long before craftsmen and blacksmiths were able to incorporate them into great works of mastery. So essentially C is going to be kind of like a mining area. And, you know, there'll be some automated mining and a couple of merchants, people you can interact with to obtain certain things, minerals and gems and things that, you know, there may even be like a blacksmith on site that can take some of these gems and minerals that you'll have to buy with gold unless there's a, you know, some kind of quest we set up where you can obtain some of those gems or minerals by completing quests. Um, so anyways, yeah, that's kind of going to be the gist of that. It's going to be like a mining town, a mining area. B is going to be like a farmer area. Our A is our overall traders village. It's going to have a bunch of shops and different things. Okay, so location D, which is way up here on almost like a cliff. It's like a little island cliff there. For now, I was just thinking it was going to be like a little archery area. Since it's high up, high ground, flat, plateau-like, there may be some archery training going on there and or archery merchants, people that craft bow and arrows and crossbows and sell those kind of goods up there. Um, but mainly it'd be to receive training if you know, looking at maybe working on a ranking system. Obviously it's going to take time. It's going to be a work in progress, but that's the goal, is to incorporate some kind of ranking system in different areas, and, you know, of melee, hand weapons, guns, archery. Farming can be one as well, kind of like a skill tree of sorts. Okay, location E, which is all the way across the map here. A lot of water on the other side. So it's going to be like our marina. Largest area of the map that will have a seaside theme with fishermen, boats, docks, etc. So it'll be like a marina. You'll have people there that are dressed up in you know, sailor attire, or pirates maybe, you know, something like that. Just be some trading going on there as well. Be definitely a marketplace, but more on that side, like a seaside marketplace, as opposed to our main marketplace. Okay, G, which is down here to the left of our location A, down off the cliff, down on the side here. Okay, rumors speak about a secret underground network of tunnels that exist underneath the cliffs of Traders Village. Apparently an entrance exists somewhere here to gain access to the tunnels. Those who have set out to search for the entrance have never been seen again. So yeah, that'll be one of those kind of mysterious places and that you could go into, and basically, you know, I'm looking at building some kind of underground catacomb that goes through the underside of Traders Village, underneath the ground there. It'll be buried deep within the belly of location A. And then location H. Okay, everything on this island seems to draw from the mysterious energy that is emitted by this unusual volcanic-like natural structure. It has been said that there exists a secret passage to an underground weapons guild where a dark and powerful creature can create powerful weapons infused with the mystical energy that resides here. So yeah, that's going to be kind of a mystery too, and what I'm going to do there. But I would like to have some kind of, yeah, this kind of little dark area where you go and deal with some kind of underground creature that actually, the storyline you'll see, I don't want to really tell too much, but you know, the storyline will unfold later in the game as it progresses, and we build that into it. And a lot of it's still yet to be defined. That's just a general idea for each area, and I'd like to actually get some when we get to the point where you can pop up dialogues and stuff like that, we'll start building out our storyline. So that's pretty much it. And they'll be along the way, be able to run into some small merchants, travelers, some AI travelers, and people to interact with, people that can provide information. So I guess it's kind of turning into a survival slash RPG kind of style thing, just more of an adventure. I was thinking of I really like Zelda, the whole, Ocarina of Time going back then, and Zelda in general. I played just about every one of them, and the storyline was great, and the way it unfolded, and the things you could do. It was just kind of cool. Zelda was always something to look forward to. So yeah, that's just showing that I have started to document some stuff in some areas to help fine-tune the direction of each area as I work on it, and I'll be looking at reading this as I go into each area as I develop it and try to envision a concept that would represent that, and we'll build out from there. So like I said, this thing will be progressing over time. It's going to be a long-term project. I'm a solo man right now working on this. It'd be great if I can get a few other people involved that maybe can, come up with a concept for each area. Maybe hand out each area to a different person and let them come up with the concept design and the look for it, and build it out. So anyway, if there's anybody out there that's wanting to learn a little bit about Unity or get involved in it, this project, definitely hit me up, type a comment on the video. It's pretty much going to be it for now. I just wanted to, like I said, show that I am starting to document some things, and all the documentation things we create will be in here. Once we work out, let's see what we have left to do now. Now that we have our HUD working with the stats, stamina, the armor, and our health. Oh, the other thing I didn't show, let me just do that real quick. Well, I guess I don't have to waste time showing it, but I've set up outside of the realm. I was trying to figure out the best way to figure this out, but I realized, what if a player does jump off the map and they decide to keep running? I stretched out the sea floor and the water. I really stretched those out quite a bit. I scaled them up to a massive distance. So when you look through the horizon here, even high up, it still looks like an endless ocean out there, or body of water. But it's not necessarily endless. There is, you can get to the horizon, which you can almost see right now if you look way in the distance. But what I'm getting at, boom, 1 hit, 2 hits. Our shield's gone. Let's see if we survive this fall. Yes, we did. So our stamina, yeah, we got to let it recharge. But yeah, what I set up, when you get to a certain area, you can't really see it. There's an invisible zone, basically, that's capsule colliders, what I essentially put on there, that went around the entire island, a huge capsule collider. And so I wanted to prevent someone from just running out into the nothingness for too long. And I can fine-tune the capsule collider to bring it in a little closer, but I did leave a little distance where they can run out like they think they're going to go out there and actually find something. You look back. Let's do it this way so we can see when it's triggered. But it spawns you back to the once you reach that zone, it'll just grab you and throw you up in the air and spawn you back to, see, like that. Spawn us back to location A at the spawn spot. That is our designated spawn location right there on that spot right here. Yeah, so just wanted to say that's all added. So we quit that real quick here, and I can show you on the island. I created this game object called restricted. Excuse me. It's time to go to bed. Restricted zone, and originally had a mesh collider, or I removed that, put a capsule collider, and set up some values on that. But if we look at our restricted zone, we go to the scene here. You can see how that was set up. Yeah, it's just essentially it's high too. So if I built up higher areas, I didn't want to. Probably could lower that, but really don't matter. Don't impact performance. But you can see it's, if we go to a top-down view, come on out, you can see how it's kind of wrapped around the island there. So you can't go, this is how far out, you're not going to be able to walk beyond that to get to any of these edges and drop off. Yeah, so that's, I know some people, I've seen a lot of, I searched a little bit and tried to find the best way to do that. What I wanted to do was just create a barrier that stops, and you just can't go anywhere. It's like an invisible wall. But I think that, then I thought about that, it just seemed, there was actually no easy way to do it that I knew of right off the bat. I wanted something quick just to throw in there. I didn't want to spend a lot of time on it. And so I decided I knew that I could, since I can trap the event on trigger exit, when you exit the capsule, basically. That's what we're doing there. If we look at, we got a script here called restricted zone. It's really simple. And I tried a couple of things. I was playing around with different spawn locations. Like I said, I put a spawn location for each of the locations we have in the map now. There's an actual player spawn location for that area. So if I wanted to even build like a system where you pay to get teleported, matter of fact, I call it variable teleporting, it'll teleport. So excuse me. Initially, I had it where it would just automatically, as soon as you hit that zone, it would, boom, it would pop you back to location A. But since you're already sprint running out there, and it pops you immediately, you start sprint running like into the stairs and running through. It's just kind of weird. So I did this thing where it would lerp you to the new position over time, and the time can be set. Time to reach target. Let's see, where's that being? Okay, time to reach target. I have it set for 10 seconds here, right here. But that could be changed. But I set it up like that so that the player can actually see what's happening. They're being taken back, and you also get a nice little view of, if you're looking around, you can actually rotate around. You get a view of the island while you're moving around. You can see where other AI players are at, or other players once we get to that point where we have a multiplayer setup. Yeah, so anyways, I'm going to call it a night. It's getting late. There was a lot of changes, I guess, small changes, but very functional that I made that really improved this. We're looking good with our UI now. It's starting to look really good. So let me see if I can get, of course, we're on the wrong side of it there. So yeah, the next thing we want to do though is start let's just run it real quick. We're going to start looking at getting these quick slot items working now. We'll start with the healing property. That's going to be easy, the first aid kit. and drinking the bottle to recharge the defenses and all that, the armor. And then we'll look at the other items that we have and how they can be incorporated. I guess the first thing would be getting the pistol and the bat to be able to switch and get those in your hands. And obviously when you pick them, all it does is put it in your hand while you're moving or standing. But then if you left click, we'll have to go immediately into a stance where it's firing. And then right click would be kind of like, or maybe it'll just be, I don't know if we're going to have, we'll have to have a zoom, I guess, when we scope in. Be right click for the scope, and then left click to just, do a normal fire. Just kind of off where you're getting the view sort of over the shoulder. So we'll have to add a crosshair to the system. We don't have a crosshair right now because we hadn't really needed to aim. The crosshair will just be something that'll be set up in the middle of the screen. Essentially, it'll be probably an element of the UI, to be honest with you, UI HUD. That'll just show up because it'll always stay in the middle no matter where you're going, and then we'll just always aim. It'll help in the aiming toward that direction. But anyways, yeah, I'm rambling on now. Let's call this a day. There was a lot we showed, a lot we did. Things are really looking up. Things are starting to move along. This is starting to look like an actual HUD. Let me get one more image though. Actually, I want to get a, again, I like to capture an image that we will use as the thumbnail. So what I want to do is just fill up these slots here, these 6 slots. So just waiting for some things to spawn here really quick. There's one. Let's get the jerry can, just a couple of unique items. That's all stuff we can pick up. There's a bottle of water, we'll get that. Alright, if we get a first aid kit, that'll take in a bat. We need to pick up a bat somewhere. There's the first aid. Just spoke of that. There it was. Let's see if we can locate a bat somewhere. There it is. Alright, so we got an item in each thing. So yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to take this screenshot right here showing our let's see, maybe we get it from this view here somewhere. So our area under here. Yeah, right there. It's good. Print screen. Then we'll go to our, let me pop up paint. You're not going to be able to see this paint coming up here. Well, yeah, you will. Okay, so we'll paste that in there. And we'll do file, save as. just save it as untitled for now, and I'll get to that in just a minute. I'll do that off stream. I'm just going to capture that. It takes a while for YouTube to process everything, and I can't really update the thumbnail until they take care of their part. So anyways, thanks for stopping out. This was a long stream, 2 streams back to back, but like I said, I worked on some of this, and I did want to show you how to add an item to the user interface, stats area. So at least you get to see how that process works. Getting a good set of images really helps. Like I said, I found the heart and the shield, and I wanted to find something similar that had a similar quality, kind of had that glossiness, that 3-dimensional look to it, textured and glossy. But I couldn't find anything, so we're stuck with what we have. But we could go in there and do something. Probably in GIMP, I could do something a little better than that green, because that is kind of hard to see. I don't know what would work. Like I said, maybe it'd be some kind of shade of fuchsia or pink or magenta. I'm not sure exactly. Anyway, we do have it working though. That's the main thing. Anyways, y'all have a good night. Post any questions, comments, any other feedback you want to give me in the comment section of this stream. And I look forward to hearing any comments. Y'all have a good night.